Hong Kong, a beautiful city of towering skyscrapers, neon lights, and relentless energy. But beyond all of that lies something completely different. This is the MacLehose Trail, exactly 100 kilometers long. It cuts through the wild, unforgiving terrain of Hong Kong. And over the next few days, I'm going to attempt to hike the entire thing, carrying everything I need on my back, my tent, my food, and my survival for the next 4 days. Yes! My goal is to cross the entire country east to west using the MacLehose Trail as much as possible. I honestly don't know what to expect. The MacLehose Trail is known for its brutal ascents, its relentless humidity, drastic weather changes, and long remote stretches with no water or resupply points. The rains have opened up. What I do know is this is going to be the hardest thing I've ever tried to do. I know it's going to be exhausting, I know it's going to hurt, but there's something about stepping into the unknown that just pulls me in. Let's begin at the start of the trail. I'm feeling a mix of excitement, dread, and a little bit of fear, but there's only one way to find out if I can do this, so come and join me as we attempt to hike across Hong Kong together, 100 kilometers across the MacLehose Trail. Wish me luck. Well, there's no better place to begin than the beginning of the trailhead itself. They have this beautiful wooden sign and a very useful map. So I've just taken a few pictures and some videos because I don't actually have that much, apps on my phone. I'm obviously going into the wilderness for 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 days. So I've got to conserve my batteries. Plus, I did read online that there are lots of markers and it is well signposted. So fingers crossed that's true. There are markers every 500 meters. And so as long as I keep seeing them, I know I'll be on the right track. And there is a little sign or a little logo of a man with a backpack standing on a rock. That's the signal that you're on the right trail. Look, I am a bag of nerves. I'm very worried that I haven't packed enough stuff. I'm also worried I've packed too much. This is my first multiple day hike on my own in the wilderness, carrying everything I need. This could be a baptism of fire. I could get eaten up and spat out and chewed alive. Or I persevere, we make it all the way to the end, all the way to marker 200. Now, obviously, if there's a marker every 500 meters and this is a 100-kilometer hike, then there are 200 markers. So I think we just sort of take it one day at a time, one step at a time, one marker at a time, put one foot in front of the other foot. So there's only one thing left to do. Let's take a picture here and begin. Okay, let the adventure begin. Anytime I've done a physical and mental challenge, I always try to stay as present as I can, and with these blue skies and 100 kilometers of unknown in front of me, even though I was a little bit nervous, my overall feeling right now was simple anticipation of what would be around each corner. Okay, here's a perfect example of why I think this trail is going to be relatively easy to navigate. So we're just at this little junction here. I'm not quite sure, should I go that way? Should I go this way? Basically, from what I read online, we just need to follow this guy. There might not always be a sign saying you are on the MacLehose Trail, but as long as we see this little fella, we know that's the trail. Guys, look, it's the first marker. I must have missed the first 2, but this is number 3. So look, this is what we're looking for every time. MacLehose Trail, section 1, distance post. So this is every 500 meters. So we've done 1.5k already. and then it gives you some information, I think, like a map reference, a website if you get stuck. So this little fella, we're following him. This is so much fun. I feel like I'm on a real quest. A real proper quest here in Hong Kong. There's still taxis. People are getting dropped off further up the trailhead, but that's because there's lots of trails. And there's obviously the reservoir, there are beaches, so there's loads of stuff to do in this part of Hong Kong. But I had to start from the beginning, and I must, fingers crossed, make it to the end. This first morning session was going to be reasonably easy. Nice and flat along this path road, making our way around this huge freshwater reservoir, which obviously supplies Hong Kong with its fresh water. And after a while, it was time to sit somewhere, enjoy the views, and have our first snack on this trail. Time for my first snack. Thought, what a beautiful view to have it. I'm just going to eat half of my energy bar. Cranberries, nuts, and peanut butter. Yes, please. One thing I didn't expect to see, which I'm seeing quite a lot of, is giant eagles. There are two soaring around me, head height, using the thermals of this draft of the angle of the dam. Not sure if they're hunting for fish, mice, or if they're just flying around hanging out, but it's so still, it's so quiet, and with the eagles chirping, you can hear them. It really is like, whew, beautiful, isn't it? Hong Kong is gorgeous. Yeah, I was blessed to have such good weather on the morning of day one. The sun was out, and these super helpful distant posts were every 500 meters leading me the right way as it leads us deeper into the wilderness and closer towards quite a bad smell. Okay, we're at the 12th or 13th marker point, and there is always this faint smell of cow along the path, and I've been waiting to find the culprit. I think I found him. You alright? You having a nice day? It's lovely weather, isn't it? We're still walking past taxi after taxi after taxi. I don't know where they're all going. They're all dropping people off somewhere. I bet there's a really nice beach town or something along the way. But so far, it is beautiful. Yeah, this rugged coastline section of the hike was turning out to be absolutely beautiful. And as I passed each distance post and each herd of cows and each group of ginormous stinking cowpats, I slowly started to make my way around the reservoir. Even though I was still following the road at this point, we were surrounded by birds, the distant sound of crashing waves against the rocks, and after a few steep hills, we made it up and around the reservoir to the beautiful dam. Hello, are you friendly? I've seen a lot of YouTube videos recently of mainly tourists getting mauled by buffaloes and elephants and all sorts of animals, including cows. So I'm not gonna risk it. Okay, we made it to the dam, and I think I know why all of these taxis have been coming here this whole time. Because the view is absolutely outrageous. I was quickly realizing just how beautiful this MacLehose Trail was going to be. This beautiful engineering marvel was built in the 1970s to combat against the city's water shortage. Those giant concrete blocks you can see, they're designed to break the powerful waves and protect the city against typhoons. It might have only been 1 kilometre of the trail, but my God, what a beautiful kilometre it was. At the end of the dam was a little toilet where I used my water filter for the first time to fill up. Very important to stay hydrated during a very hot and dry part of the hike. And then it was time to head up and over the reservoir and towards the coastline once more. And this is where things were going to start to get even more scenic. And oh, there's a beach. Look at the colour of that water. Beautiful. It's quite common when you're hiking, and especially when you're filming the hike, to forget to turn the camera off, to stop walking, to look up, and to stop and to breathe it in. No point flying all the way to Hong Kong. No point preparing for a hike, and then no point hiking without just stopping to hear the sound of the ocean, to hear the sound of this planet. Not all of the hike will have views like this, so it's important to rest and soak these parts up, these moments, and share them together. The MacLehose Trail is split up into stages, which is good for a few reasons. If you lived in Hong Kong, you could do a stage or two and then get back in the car and head back to the city. You don't have to do the whole hike in 4 days or 3 days. You could take it slow, do a stage in the morning, a stage the next day, or do stage 1 and 2, or do 5 and 6, and just break it up. So that's stage 1 complete. Our first hikers. You never normally know until the end of a hike which part was the highlight, but I can tell you right now, this was the highlight of stage 1 at least. Okay, section 2 feels like we are now on the trail proper, because look at that. Steep, rocky, traily, and in the forest. Whew. Just about to finish the first big climb. I'm sure you can hear the planes. This section of the hike is directly underneath final approach for Hong Kong, which, by the way, you're going to want a window seat for. Absolutely incredible landing. These hills, by the way, I know this is early days to say something like this, but these hills, this is when I'm in my element. I got strong legs and I got quite fit before this hike. Obviously I prefer the flats, but they can be quite boring. But it's the downhills that I don't like. Believe it or not, and fellow hikers will back me up in the comments, I'm sure. Downhill, the impact, bang, 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 all the way down. 12 kilometers down, and I feel like section 1, that was the warm-up, guys. That was to activate the muscles, get the blood pumping, because guys, section 2, I feel like we are actually on the trail now. This feels legit. This is a sweaty one. 3.5 kilometers to Saiwan, which I think that's a campsite. My goal is to do it in 4 days. So if there's 200 markers, that's 50 markers per day. So hopefully my aim is to find a number 50 marker, and then quite quickly after that, find a place to camp. After another hard hour or so of going up and down and up again along this gorgeous rugged coastline, I just kept positive, one foot in front of the other, one marker after another, and we were slowly making our way towards the 50 marker point. And I was feeling really strong and really empowered, except there was one issue, and it was quite surprising actually. Believe it or not, this is the most hardest section for me. I don't know what it is about slanted slopes. Like, look at it, it looks absolutely fine. It looks like a walk in the park. But this is just agony on my knees, like sharp pain, sharp pain. Like going uphill, I feel strong, powerful, like an ox. On the flats, I glide like an eagle. But then, when I'm doing these little downhills, I turn into an old granny with a Zimmer frame. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. At the bottom of this hill was a small little fishing village, extremely remote and home to 1 or 2 restaurants and a place to refuel for drinks and maybe even a bowl of rice or noodles. But since I had all my food and supplies, I kept going and pushing along through a few other little towns and villages along this gorgeous coastline. There were a few moments I wasn't sure if I was on the right track, but those trusty signs kept showing me the correct way to go. I absolutely could not have done this hike without these signs being nearly every few hundred meters or so. We're still on the right way. Along one of these beaches, I knew there was a campsite. I wasn't quite sure which one it was, and in between each beach was actually a quite steep climb. Looks like we're gonna have to hike all the way along the beach, up the mountain, over the mountain, and down to the other side. So I was hoping that the campsite was going to be coming up relatively soon. I was starting to get fatigued, my knees were killing me. The sun was starting to go down, so I knew I had to get camp sorted relatively quickly. There's a hierarchy on the hike. Big bollocks first. I think he wanted me to go ahead of him. Maybe he's doing the MacLehose. I knew the campsite was along this coastline somewhere, but I just, for some reason, just felt like I couldn't find it. I kept following the distance markers, and I kept going along the coast, beach after beach, up mountain after mountain, and I saw people camping. And in between each bay, there was a beautiful viewpoint, and I would catch my breath, check my map, and realize I have no idea where the campsite is going to be. I knew it was on one of these beaches, just didn't know which one. But to be fair, it didn't matter. Look how beautiful this place is. The only thing that did start to fatigue me was my knees, especially going down. I tried turning around and going backwards. That's interesting. The legs are the strongest part of my body, by a mile. So that's frustrating. On this beach I was vlogging away, and I even pointed at this sign, which you can clearly see a campsite logo on it. But for some reason I'd missed it. I was too busy talking and complaining about my knee pain. I was also starting to get really sore feet, and I thought I could feel the start of a blister coming on. So I had to make sure to take my socks and shoes off, let the air get to my feet. I haven't been turning on my data on my eSIM because I just want to be in the moment, right? I don't want to get notifications or anything. And the one time I did turn it on to just double check that I was in the right place, and because I got a little bit lost before. You know, 5G, no problem, but now that I kind of need to just check where am I and how far is it to the next campsite. Do I turn back and walk back for half an hour and camp here, or do I just keep going? See, here's the campsite sign, right, that I must have walked right past, but that's way back now, so we're not going to do that. We're going to keep going. It says there's a settlement or a village in 5 kilometers or in 2 hours, which means it will be dark. So between here and somewhere here is where we're going to camp. That's 20 kilometers down. Let's go. One thought that came across my mind a minute ago was water. I've run out, and if I don't find a campsite before dark, if I end up wild camping, I don't know if I'll have a water source. Thank God there's this little trickle here and I have a water filter. Hallelujah. This feels like a good time to say that during my research I read that the tap water in Hong Kong is safe for human consumption, but along the hike and in the wilderness it's mainly just for washing your hands and things like that. So a lot of people bring water filters, and I managed to get one in Hong Kong. I'll share more about that when I show you my gear later. This is a sign you don't want to see when it's end of a long day, you've already accidentally walked past your campsite and you're tired and fatigued. It says notice and warning. This section of the trail is very difficult and suitable only for experienced and well-equipped hikers. Do not attempt in bad weather, please take care. And there's a SOS system here. So, I mean, I'm experienced, I'm well equipped. It's not bad weather, so we should be fine. But it's not good for the morale. One step in front of the other, one marker at a time. Let's go. What the fuck? You know, no matter what you do in life, whether it's travel or career-based, there's always someone doing something way more extreme, way more. I mean, I'm hiking the MacLehose Trail with everything I need in my backpack. Sense of adventure on full, activity mode, boosted. And then we get overtaken by a little Chinese lady running the MacLehose Trail. Actually, trail running this trail, I think the record is around 11 hours. So this is going to take, hiking-wise, 4 days, fingers crossed. And the fastest person to do it running was just over 11 hours, I believe. Okay, I think I found home for the night. There's a beautiful little flat area here which I could camp in. Just trying to see if there's a source of water. There's a couple of things over here. Let me see what that is. What have we got in here? That's locked. There's water. Female toilet, male toilet. This is where we're going to camp tonight, guys. Let's get unpacked. Let me show you what's in my backpack. Let's set up camp and let's eat. You may have seen other more professional YouTube channels do their camping gear list videos where they lay out all of their items neatly on a table and go through each one and say the pros and the cons and where they bought it and links in the description, etc. This is not one of those channels, and this is certainly not one of those videos. I have taken everything out of my bag to show you, so let's just quickly run through it so you can see what I'm carrying, and now you can see how much I've packed, and you can let me know in the comments, is this way too much or have I completely underprepared for this 4-day hike? Let's have a look. So the backpack itself is a Deuter 40 litre Futura Pro in black. Got it cheap in Thailand. Happy days. So this is my sleeping situation. Everything here I got from Decathlon. This is a 1-person tent. It's called the MT900. This is a blow-up pillow for my head. This is a mattress that self-inflates and becomes nice and soft so that I can sleep comfortably on the soil. This is a sleeping bag. This is again from Decathlon, and it is a 15 Celsius medium in blue. Welcome to the kitchen. This is something that I pre-bought in Hong Kong. It's a Primus Light Plus stove. The lid acts as a cup. Inside is the ignition lighter section. Then I bought some fuel, a little canister I should say, to light, and that all just goes on top of there and I cook in there. We'll use that in a minute. Also came with these legs to lift it off the ground if you need to. I brought an extension adapter travel plug thing, so if I do find a wall, if I do find power, I can quickly charge things that are completely dead. That's on my wallet. This is now the bathroom. Hair wax, which I won't use at all. Toiletries, toothpaste, and a razor blade, and sun cream, which I should have put on. And then I bought these just before I got a taxi this morning. These are wet wipes to use alcohol free to clean myself down and make sure that I'm just as hygienic as possible. Also some moisturizer. I don't know why I brought that, but there we go. Some headphones for like the last day of the hike when I'm really low in morale and hurting. Drone. Got my DJI Mini 3 Pro in a little glove just for protection. And this is the controller. This is a luxury item, and hopefully I'll get some great shots later in this video. I've got my passport. This is a selfie stick that I use when I'm filming with my phone or my big camera. This is the Action 5 that I was talking to you mostly onto today with the selfie stick. And it also came with some little legs. These are the little legs. It was in my pocket. These aren't very good. Also have this ND filter, which I use on my big Sony, which I'm filming with now when it's sunny. And my phone is a 16 Pro Max. I've been using this mostly today to film all of this shots of the sign, the markers as we go past. Fully charged 1000 mega power watt thingy charger to recharge my Sony cameras, my drone cameras, and my DJI Osmo 3, Action 5 cameras here. Here's all my food. I've got some Ricola, which is just basically throat lozenges in case I get a little bit sick. Some chocolate bourbons. This is my water system. I have a plastic bottle which I can refill. And then this is my water filter, Be-Free 0.6. I bought this in Hong Kong just before I started the hike at the camping shop. And it filters water really well. Actually, really happy with this. The food I bought just before I came on the hiking trail again. I've got 4 packages, and these are 200 grams, and it says this one's got 800 calories, this one's got 1000 calories. I've got a rain jacket in case things get really wet. I've got a nice woolly hat in case it gets cold, 2 pairs of underwear, 1 dirty pair of socks, 4 t-shirts. I shouldn't have brought 4 t-shirts, and a pair of shorts, and a fleece if it gets cold, which I don't really think it's going to do. Looking at all of that, definitely brought too many clothes, but maybe I can use one of my t-shirts as a towel if I want to like go for a swim, if I get really minging. Way too much camera equipment, but that's because I'm filming for you guys. That's just the caveat of my hike. It's my job, is to share these adventures with you, show you the world, take people who can't walk on these hikes, transport you here, show you the world. I have a lot of followers who let me know that, you know, they travel through me because they can't, but through sickness, injury, or whatever. So in order to make those videos as enjoyable as possible, I need camera equipment, which is heavy and bulky. So what I'm going to do now is you're going to watch me struggle setting up the tent for the first time and cooking dinner. And whilst you enjoy me struggling, I'm going to talk to you about travel medical insurance from the sponsor of this video, Safety Wing. Safety Wing are incredible. And whilst I'll tell you some more, enjoy me struggle setting up the tent. As someone who's always on the move, it gives me such peace of mind to know that I have fantastic travel medical insurance so that I can focus on the adventure at hand. It's so good to know that I'm covered in over 180 different countries as I travel, and so if I do have a medical emergency, get sick or get injured, Safety Wing has me covered. I already cut myself trying to get these bloody pegs in. Oh, this works really well. They currently have two great options for you. They have the Essential plan, which is a more flexible and affordable option that you can start and stop at any time. And they have a new package now called Complete. This comes with even more extensive coverage as well as trip protection. Safety Wing also make it really easy to submit a claim. There's no lengthy paperwork involved. Just go to their website or their app and just submit your claim, and it takes a few minutes. I've been fortunate enough not to have to claim, but yeah, it's just good to know that if I did, it would only take a few minutes to do so. So if you have a lot of travel plans this year, or you're a digital nomad always on the move, Safety Wing is the perfect place to get your travel medical insurance. And if you click the link in the description, you'll support this channel to make more adventures just like this. Okay, that took me way longer than I want to admit, but that was my first time. It's definitely not like at all pitched correctly. It's quite difficult to pitch a tent, guys, because I am not one of those outdoorsy type of people. Believe it or not, I'm the kind of guy who hikes through the mountains, through the wilderness, and then has a nice hot cup of tea and a cold beer in a cabin, and then sleeps in a dorm room or a private room with the aircon or the heating on. So this is a new experience for us. So I just hope it doesn't get blown away in the wind. I hope there isn't any wind, and I hope it doesn't rain, and I hope I don't have to test if it's waterproof or not. Okay, welcome to Paddy Doyle's camping in the middle of Hong Kong cooking show. This will be a lesson for all of us, because I've never used this cooking system thing before. So I've gone for the Italian pasta bolognese as my first meal. Gas, ding, gas lighter thingy, spin it on. Oh. What's that? Why is it doing that? Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. What's going on? Why is it sissing and then not lighting? Oh, it smells bad. Okay, let's think. Paddy, think. That opens the valve. So let's close the valve tightly. And then let's try that again. I'm not going to tighten it too much. What's going on? Turn it. Okay, gas is coming through. Light it. Yes! Oh God, I was bloody worried then. And then we put this on. Is that on? Doesn't feel like it's on very well. That will have to do for now. Let's add water. Oh God. At least it's hot. Then we can put the lid on. And it should boil quicker. Normally I would shower before dinner, but I thought I would save that till after. So I'm going to have a little Victory chocolate bourbon biscuit whilst this is boiling, because I'm hungry. Looks weird. Oh. Oh! Going in with the fleece. God, that turned off. And then, what do we do? This is so scary. Sorry for my language. What do I do? How do I get this off? Okay, whew. Okay, water goes in. Gonna give it a little mix. Close it so it cooks nicely. Okay, it's been 6 to 8 minutes. Let's see how we're doing. God, looks like dog food. Doesn't smell that great. Have a look at this. I mean, it looks alright. It'll do. It's 1,000 calories that are much needed. In fact, I wish I hadn't opened those chocolate bourbons because I just want to eat the whole packet. But they've got to last me the whole time I'm on the trail. Okay, taste test. Oh shit. Just dropped some on the floor. On the positive side, it's hot. And it tastes like spaghetti bolognese if your 4-year-old kid made it. There are very limited options in Hong Kong. This was the only brand I could find. Adventure Nutrition. And I suppose, look, that's all we need. We need nutrition on a 4-day hike. We don't really need packed full of flavour. Maybe the other ones are better. This one's fine, it'll do. It's 1,000 calories, it's carbs, it's proteins, it's warm, it's gonna fill me up. I just wish I could have a glass of red wine with it. Starts to taste better actually, the more it infuses with the water. I'd say camping is not as glamorous as it might look on Instagram. It's quite uncomfortable, difficult, you cut yourself, you smell, it's dirty, and the food you make nearly blows your head off and then tastes pretty mediocre. But that's why we do stuff like this, right? To get out of our comfort zone, to learn new things about ourselves, to push ourselves physically and mentally, and to get to the other end in one piece and say, we did it! We hiked across Hong Kong. Oh, what a day. Good morning. It's raining. I wish I could say I had a good night's sleep, but for the first hour I was just so sore, trying to like get comfortable, aches and pains. Eventually got to sleep and then got awoken by those giant wild boar pigs that looked like straight out of a horror movie. What the fuck? And then got back to sleep, woke up, went back to sleep, woke up, went back to sleep, woke up, and then it started to rain. I don't know what time, but sometime late in the night. It wasn't too loud, just drizzle really. But it's enough to just get everything wet. So as I'm packing my sleeping bag, that's now wet. As I'm packing my blow-up mattress, that's now wet. and my backpack's wet. I'm just trying to keep everything as dry as possible. And I'm just going to wear shorts and socks and this today and use my umbrella and hope that the rain stops, because it's just drizzle. It's light drizzle, but you know that kind of rain, right? That just soaks you right through. Pillow's soaked. Packing up the tent and all my camping equipment in the rain was not fun, but it had to be done. Come on. Yes! So let's quickly recap yesterday. We walked all the way around the big reservoir along the coast, all the way to this point here at Chek Kieng, somewhere in the middle of nowhere in eastern Hong Kong. Now this is day 2, so at this point I was cold, I was wet, and I was very tired, and my legs were sore, my feet were aching, and now my bag was full of wet gear, meaning it was a lot heavier and a lot more tricky. The rain this morning persisted, it never stopped, and yeah, hiking in the rain with a bag full of heavy wet gear, not the most fun. This was definitely a low point in the hike. But you know, I had my trusty umbrella and a well-trodden path to follow. Lovely day. I think in these moments when you're hiking, yesterday we were riding on optimism, energy, enthusiasm, excitement. Today it's more real. Today our legs feel like we've been hiking for 25 kilometers with a heavy backpack. Our back feels it, our shoulders feel it. And our brain starts to question, why do you do this? Where's the enjoyment in this? This is a challenge. This is where you learn things about yourself. Things you can do, sometimes things you can't. But if you never try, you never know. Look what we have here. We've got water dispenser, toilets, vending machines, other hikers. There's a bus stop, so if we did want to quit and just go back to Hong Kong and eat loads of warm hot noodle soup, we could. And this is the end of the MacLehose Trail stage 2 and the beginning of stage 3. Cans of pop, lemon tea. Holy moly. Let's take a 5-minute breather, have a nice drink, stock up our water, and then head down the misty road into level 3. We're not getting the bus home, don't worry. After refilling my water at the refuge and failing to get my Thai ATM card to work, trying to pay for the sweet beverages inside, it was just time to crack on and get back to the hike. The weather still wasn't exactly playing ball today, and all of the fellow hikers I'd seen here on the trail, they all seemed to be making a beeline. There's the bus. There's the section 3 up there. It says 10.2 kilometers. I wonder if they quit, or maybe they're just calling it early, or maybe they're just going home. Let's go. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are not one of those hikers, because we are heading deeper. Number 50. 25k in. Section 3 begins with quite a brutal climb up a rugged staircase of rocks and rubble. I wasn't sure of what we were going to find in this next section, but one thing for certain was that I was going to be cold, wet, and slightly miserable. This, I can, albeit with hindsight, say was very difficult. Those markers seemed to pass me every few minutes yesterday. But that gap between 50 and 51, that felt like forever. That was a brutal climb. Of course, these markers mark distance, not effort. So just between those two markers, that was max effort. It was steep. It was unrewarding in terms of views. Try not to think about what I'm missing out on in terms of views of the bays, the city, in this weather, and instead think about one foot in front of the other.
Since all my gear had gotten wet, and with my bag now feeling double its weight, coupled with this gruesome climb and the cold and wet, boggy conditions, things were pretty miserable. But, like I've been saying, it's all about one foot in front of the other, one marker after the next one. Even though it was wet and miserable, it was still gorgeous, and hiking up through these forests, I must say, was enjoyable, albeit soaking wet and cold.
Okay, we made it to the end of section 3. That was tough. That was beautifully challenging. I'll put it like that. I only fell on my ass one time, which was nice. And we've been spat out again at a road with a bus stop, a vending machine, a toilet. Here's the thing. This is the beginning of section 4, and it goes up into the mountains onto a plateau where there is a campsite at the end. The only problem is it's quite exposed, and the weather's going to get worse throughout the afternoon, and it's going to rain all night. So, plan B, we're still going to walk across Hong Kong, we're still going to do the MacLehose Trail, but what we're going to do is we're going to kind of like skip around section 4, but I'm actually adding extra kilometers. So, let me just quickly show you on Google Maps. So this is where we are, right? And section 4 goes up into this green mountain, and then there's a plateau, and then there's a campsite up here. It's not this one, it's the one next to it, but like I said, quite exposed. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to walk down the road basically and find refuge here. Then we're going to get up early in the morning and get back on the trail, which is starts around somewhere here. But yeah, I've got to walk along this road with the noisy buses, and it's still pissing down rain. Slight change of plan. But sometimes we have to do these things to keep our safety and mind and positivity in a good direction. That didn't make any sense, but you know what I mean. Chocolate. Oh, yes, please. Why is it the second we leave the MacLehose Trail and start heading towards civilization for a little bit, we see monkeys? There's like a big troop of monkeys. Climbing up this tree. There's about 5 or 6 of them, and they're all just looking for food, foraging. That's so cool. I'm literally walking on someone's driveway as well. Like this is interesting. All the cars here, except for the taxis anyway, seem electric. I've seen so many of these in downtown as well. You charge your car. Oh, it's a Tesla one. Nice. See, look, civilization, but just 2 seconds up the road, wild monkeys. Monkeys in Hong Kong, who knew? You see, we would, from the top of the mountain on section 4, have amazing views of this bay behind me, ordinarily. But with the views being completely clouded out, we wouldn't be able to look down upon all of these islands and these beaches and bays. So here, at least on sea level, we can enjoy them together, even though it's miserable.
Yeah, this section of hiking across Hong Kong wasn't the best because not only we were not really on the MacLehose Trail anymore, but we had to hike along many roads all the way into this town to find a hotel and find refuge. I used the hotel kettle to warm up another one of my meals. Again, it was disgusting. And then I laid all my gear out on the floor, on the bed, hooked up and just hanging anywhere I could in the bathroom, just so that eventually it would dry overnight. But it was so soaking wet, I had to use the hotel hairdryer to speed the process along. It's okay to get wet. It's fine to have things that get wet, but you need dry clothes to get into in the evening or in the morning, for morale. You don't want to go to bed in wet clothes, especially when it's cold up in the mountains. And we haven't really skipped that much of a big section of the trail, to be honest. So we'll figure out exactly how much we skipped by doing this alternative route. But yeah, we're walking across Hong Kong. That's the main thing. Just slight change of plan. But thank God I didn't turn up at the campsite tonight not knowing how wet everything was. Good morning. Welcome back to the trail. Day 3. And look, there is a marker here. I've basically just made my way to the nearest marker to the hotel that I limped into last night. And it is number 98. So the last one before we decided to change direction and leave the trail for a little bit was marker 68. So that's 30 markers that we've missed, which is 15 kilometers. But because we walked along the coast, up and over a few hills, through a few villages, and waved hello to a few monkeys along the way, we did 15 kilometers anyway. So in terms of distance, we're still going to be doing 100 kilometers. So we're back on the trail, we're still on distance, we're still on the challenge, and we're back on the good old MacLehose, which feels great. And wait till you see the views. Now, we were supposed to camp up on that hill there. There's a big dome type thing, and there's a little plateau nearby, and that's where we were going to camp. Basically, I've learned that in rainy conditions, having a bag cover and an umbrella is not enough. The water still seeps through your bag. Water still gets everything wet. I've really got to focus because today is a 3-section day, or 3.5, because we've got to finish section 4. Section 5 is 10.5 kilometers. Section 6 is short, I think it's 6 kilometers. And then section 7, I'm going to try and do 4, 5, 6, 7. But we're nearly finished section 4. So yeah, lots of steps, lots of sections, lots of kilometers, lots of markers, and hopefully lots of views. So let's enjoy the second half of this trail, of this adventure, because we're about to hit the 100 marker, which will be the halfway point. Look at this marker. It's so cool. And I think it means that way. This is kind of the views that you see online when it comes to the MacLehose Trail. Green mountains overlooking Hong Kong. And you might think that that would be the case the entire way, but this is the first time on day 3, on the morning of day 3, that we've seen the city. And we're soon to sort of go over the ridge and get some spectacular views, I'm sure. But then we head over and we start crossing to the other section of the city. So this is quite a short section where we just get this breathtaking review of the city, even if it is foggy and misty today. Halfway, baby!
mad respect. Wow. The good thing about this section of the trail is you can look past where you've come. So you see that little circular dome? That's where we began this morning. And then you can see we've gone down and up and down and up over a few mountains, and we're going down and up over a few more. In fact, if you're ever in Hong Kong, guys, and you're facing west, northwest, just look at the city skyline basically, and then the mountains behind it, and then that's where you'll be like, oh, that's where Paddy went hiking. I don't know if you've ever played Sim City or City Skylines, the city simulation game, but whenever you get a high demand for housing, you can just spawn hundreds of high density housing, and they just build straight away, and everyone starts moving into your city to find work. And I feel like that's what they did here in Hong Kong. Huge demand for housing, and they just built these towers, and these are still getting built right now. They might look a bit worn and a bit old school, but even the new ones that they're building right now look exactly the same. Just high efficiency, high occupancy, and high density housing. I don't know if it's completely ugly or completely beautiful. Can't quite make up my mind.
This section of the MacLehose, by the way, guys, is full of history. Now, back in World War II, when the Japanese were invading into other parts of Asia, including Hong Kong, the British were here, and they put up a fight here in the mountains. And all along this section of the hike, you can see pillboxes, concrete markers to help the soldiers navigate these mountains, little caves and nooks and crannies where the soldiers would store their ammunition and extra grenades and things like that. Now, back then, the British thought that using these mountains as cover and having an advantage over the Japanese invasion, they'd be able to submit quite a good defense against them, and they planned to be up here for weeks. But the battle only lasted a few days before the British surrendered.
11/11, marker post 111. Spooky.
The highlight was this tight, narrow little tunnel that the soldiers used to navigate through and get from one position to another quickly.
Wow, very, very interesting. Look. Okay, my backpack and I don't fit very much in here, but wow. Retracing footsteps of my fellow countrymen. Very cool indeed. I have to say that the whole war history element of this trail, or this section of the trail anyway, is really, really interesting and gives you a whole new thing to think about. When you're hiking, you go through so many things in your head. You think about your business, your love life, your taxes, where should you go next? Little things that are niggling at you. You can work through on your hiking, but sometimes it's nice to take you out of that mindset and start concentrating more on what it would have been like to fight the Japanese versus the British here in Hong Kong. I remember when I was in Vietnam as well, doing the motorbike tour, and when I'd be driving through the DMZ, and I was learning about so much death and horrific human activity. And here, somewhere just as equally as beautiful, you can't really imagine why would we be fighting in a place like this. It's so beautiful, and I felt the same way in the DMZ. I was like, how could they be possibly dropping napalm and killing each other here? I mean, it's just so peaceful. And yet the British here were dug in with machine guns and tunnels. I mean, fair enough, the battle didn't last very long. But maybe if they knew how the Japanese were going to treat them when they surrendered. They might have fought a little bit harder, I don't know. M124. The road ahead is blocked by some quite scary looking monkeys. They've been calling at each other. So they either know each other or they're rival troops. The alpha male is just checking these two little lads out. I don't want to get caught in the middle of a crossfire, so I'll just wait here until he figures out what he wants to do. There we go. Okay. I thought they were going to scrap. Awesome. Section 5. I'm loving you, Section 5.
So yeah, this section had it all. Beautiful forest, monkeys, and the history of the war, and incredible viewpoints of the city. Section 5, definitely the best section of the entire hike. Once I crossed this busy road, we were on the trail again, but now it was the section 6. This section was going to be very short, about 4 or 5 kilometers long, quite underwhelming. Apart from these cool monkeys hanging out by this lagoon or reservoir, it was pretty uneventful, and I got it done in a few hours.
Oh God. What's going on? I really don't trust the way they move. I don't trust the way they look. I mean, monkeys, do we need them? Over here, on this side, not bad. Section 6, I don't think is like famous around the world. So let's just get straight through it.
The highlight of this section was definitely the end, because we went across this dam, good spot to fly the drone, get a cool vantage. But yeah, section 6 compared to section 5 anyway, rather dull. But things are about to change, because the next section, section 7, is going to be quite extreme.
This stage 7 is very steep immediately. I mean, even at the gate here, the stairs go up and up. And we go up to a place called Needle Hill, Grassy Hill, just hill after hill after hill. And it's going to be beautiful. We're going to have fantastic views, hopefully. But it's going to be very difficult. So I think it's a good time to stop and have a little bit of lunch. I mean, my lunch is only a little power bar. I don't get hungry on the trail, guys. I find this every time. Even back in Thailand, when I go to the gym, I always go to the gym around 10, 11 in the morning, and I never eat breakfast, and I only get hungry after the workout, and sometimes I only eat once a day anyway. I mean, I'm just used to it, and I haven't really been getting hungry during the day. I have little vitamin C things that I eat, which are good for salts, and then I drink water, and then, you know, I get to around about 2 o'clock, and I'm like, I could still keep going, but I know I need to give myself some energy. Section 7, let's do this. He goes on. This staircase never ends. Never ends. This is steep. Hello, welcome to Needle Hill. Oh, that was tricky on the old hamstrings. We're 532 meters above sea level, which is great, and there are incredible views of Hong Kong. Even though we have this foggy, thick, mushy air and visibility, it's still beautiful. If I come over this side, we have a great view, and we can see the city. Well, these are the suburbs actually. The city's behind those mountains. That ridge of mountains is what we've hiked along all morning. Stage 4 and stage 5, Lions Rock. I can see the little white thing where we started, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mountains, and then down past the reservoir, and then up, and then up Needle Hill. And again, if we look down, we're following this path. There's a road, we go up a green mountain, we go up another peak higher than this, much higher than this, and then down into the valley at the end of section 7. Section 8 goes up into that mountain, which is currently in the clouds. That is the highest point of the whole MacLehose Trail. But at least it doesn't look too steep. Famous last words, obviously. So I'm just going to rest here, 5 minutes, rehydrate. Chinese people are so loud. He's 3 mountains away. I can still hear him chatting to his wife. Turn it down.
Sorry about that. I was getting quite triggered by noisy hikers. At least they weren't playing music on their speakers, is all I can say. Anyway, continue we must. Marker after marker, the super steep section before had really taken the wind out of my sails, so I was enjoying just going a bit slower, having lots of rests, and just, taking my time. So let's quickly recap this section. I'd woken at my hotel, the Kamlooks, and made my way up to the distance post number 98 to be exact. That's where I rejoined the MacLehose Trail. And then, just as you've seen, I'd hiked along that beautiful ridge in section 5, along the history gin drinkers line, and then around section 6, all the way to the lead mine campsite.
Okay, I made it to the campsite, and finally, it's pretty decent. So look, it's just at the end of section 7, just before the beginning of the big mountain climb. There is water, so I can refill. Fantastic. There's a nice pitching area, and then they have these stone fire pits, so if I find some wood, I can, cook my own food on the fire, which obviously I'm not going to do that, but it would be nice to maybe make a fire safely. I'll try in a bit if I can find some decent dry wood, and then I can camp and eat my dinner on a nice picnic table.
Right then, let's get this tent set up, let's get our camp sorted, and let's get dinner on.
I realised I didn't share with you the inside of my tent, so here it is. There's a little compartment there to put my backpack, and then inside, just enough room. I didn't feel squashed in there or anything. Once you get into your tent, especially when I've got my fleece on, it's quite warm, so I was actually getting out of the sleeping bag and just using it as an extra padding underneath. Or chicken tikka masala with rice. Okay, it's been 6 to 8 minutes later, moment of truth. Chicken tikka masala with rice. God, how can they mess this one up?
It's a good job I didn't get sponsored by this outdoor food company, because I'd have a pretty hard time pretending to enjoy it, because these meals were atrocious.
I think it needs 2 more minutes, but I already know it's gonna be
Anyway, let's try and get a fire started to raise our morale. It seems like nothing is working. All the wood is wet, and all the dry stuff just doesn't seem to want to ignite each other. Of course, I'm not really a typical man. Starting a fire is not my strong point, and I'm sort of exposing myself by showing you this absolutely terrible footage of me trying to get a fire going. Okay, I think we've got it going. No, wait, it's going out.
I failed as a man.
Let's just go to bed. We've got a big day tomorrow.
Good morning. And it's been a cold, wet night. I went to bed at 8, woke up at 10, woke up again at midnight, woke up again at 2, woke up again at 4, woke up again at 6. So I've been waking up every 2 hours basically just to roll over a dead leg, a dead arm. Sleeping in a tent, even with all the pillow and the mattress, blow up mattress thing, it's uncomfortable. I'm not used to it. I would have left earlier because I was up so early, but I didn't want to get packed up in the rain. And it's now 7:30. So quickly do breakfast, quickly pack up, should get on the trail by hopefully just past 8. Last night I kept imagining, I kept hearing things. I mean, obviously there are monkeys, we saw wild boars on our first night's camping, but I don't know why, but I felt like there was a person walking around my tent breathing. It was really spooky. I know there probably wasn't, or maybe it was just a monkey, but it felt like there was a bloke walking around my tent. I hope this one's good. Maybe it will be. Maybe that we saved the best till last. I'm really excited to get going today, to be honest. Like, even though the weather is shocking, it's the final day, it's the final push. Climb the highest mountain in Hong Kong, then all the way down. Stage 9 and 10 are long and flat and downhill. So it will take all day and I will be knackered. But once we get to the top of this mountain, it's pretty much downhill all the way to the finish line. Breakfast is served. What is this? Curried beef with rice. Smells and looks exactly the same as yesterday. Oily. The main goal is to think, okay, I'm not eating a bag of sick. I'm not eating a bag of sick. Success. Okay, I'm all packed up. The rain just stopped. But I've got my trusty umbrella and my rain jacket if I need it. Let's go up into the misty mountains on the MacLehose Trail, stage 8.
Not much to report in the morning. It was just steep, difficult, wet, and in the clouds, so no views whatsoever. I basically only filmed the markers.
Let's go.
As you can see from the weather, thick fog, low-lying rain clouds, and a harsh, steep climb to the summit of the highest point of Hong Kong, where I was hoping, fingers crossed, toes crossed as well, that we would have some kind of view after making it to the highest point in the country.
Welcome to the summit of the highest point in Hong Kong. In the clouds, there's a military dome thing. There's a MacLehose sign. And we continue now from this point on down, all the way to the furthest town on the west coast of the island. That's where the finish line is. We're not quite there yet, but section 8 was very enjoyable. We're only halfway through it. Here we are at 147, Jimmy White's favourite number. Guys, look what's just happened. Oh my god, it's all cleared away. Let's get a good view from up here. Oh look, it's just peeking out of the top of the cloud. I don't know how long that's going to last. You can see the marina, you can see the port, all of the neighborhoods. I mean, this is just one section of Hong Kong. The main city is on the other side, in the rain by the looks of it. And the planes are flying over my head going into land at the airport. It's not far from here. Wow, the clouds are coming up. I don't think this will last very long. Let's just breathe this moment in together. Yes! We did it. We got a great view. Look, it might not be the best view in the world, but it'll do.
I feel like if you looked up in the dictionary chuffed to bits, my face there would appear in the dictionary. I was so happy. But all things that go up must come down, so let's make our way off this mountain and down into stage 9 and 10 and get this trail finished.
Okay, we're getting to the business end. This is section 9, and then around about here it just turns into section 10. So this map is the whole of section 9 and 10. Look, only one more marker after the edge of the map. This is the business end of the MacLehose. 22 kilometers or so. Business end. Mostly flat, mostly down, a few ups. There's a little town here. I really hope I can resupply. I have no supplies, just water. I would love a snack. Kilometers left. Kilometers left. This is the end of section 9, by the way. It was pretty unspectacular, but just a road, just this the whole way. A little bit up, a little bit up, a little bit along, a little bit down, a little bit flat, a little bit up. Just 6.5 kilometers of whatever. I saw this online. I think it's like a place you can get a drink. Oh, people have left their unused gas canisters. There are water bottles. There are fridges. Put my umbrella down because it's raining a little bit. I think what you do is you can take a drink, leave some coins, and then get some sugar in you, which I think is much needed. Oh my god. Cold water, cold Coke. You know what? I never drink full fat Coke. I normally drink Coke Zero, but today we're having the full fat jobby. Well, isn't this the life? Can of Coke in the rain. Happy days. 15 kilometers to go. 14 kilometers to go. 13 kilometers left. 12 kilometers left. 11 kilometers to go. I mean, we've been going up and over mountains and mountains. I thought this was the easy part. I thought we were just strolling down the road to the finish point and to a nice cozy pub, but no. Up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over. Section 10 has turned into quite difficult mountain pass. 9 kilometers to go. 8 kilometers left. 7 kilometers to go, baby! There's a tree on the other side of this reservoir with about 7 massive eagles. I'll get my phone out and see if I can zoom in for you. It's beautiful. And they're all singing. I mean, are we in Hong Kong or are we in the Amazon? This is absolutely outrageous. 6 kilometers to go. 5 kilometers to go. Let's go. 5. 4 kilometers to go. Oh my god, we're so close. We're so close. When is this gonna end? 3 kilometers to go. 2 kilometers left. I thought this was a small town. But in Hong Kong, a small town on Google Maps looks like this. I mean, that would be the biggest city in most parts of the UK. But here in Hong Kong, that's a small hamlet. Marker 197. Nearly there. One kilometer to go. One last staircase to the bottom. And then we're done. Oh. $199. Can't believe we've nearly done it. Can't believe it, guys. Are you proud of me? I'm proud of me. We have to walk past the very glamorous Hong Kong prison. I have to say, of all the hikes I've done in my life, either if it's a big loop, you always get back to where you started, you get to meet the hotel guest house manager who took care of your bag and the friendly dog that you've been looking forward to seeing again. You know, there's always a very glamorous, happy ending to a loop hike. Or if you're climbing a mountain, there's the summit, you know, the feeling of reaching the top of the highest mountain in said destination or country. But with the MacLehose Trail and walking across Hong Kong, there is no glamorous finish line. We are walking alongside a prison in what can only be described as a rundown ghetto area of Hong Kong, and there will be no welcoming committee. There will be no flag or sign. There will only be a marker 200. And after 4 days of following these signs to the sound of birdsong along Hong Kong's coastline, up and around the beautiful ocean waves crashing against the rocks, to climbing mountains and going through deep into Hong Kong's interior where we met cows and monkeys. We struggled in the weather, we struggled with the camping, we struggled with lack of experience, but we grew stronger day by day, step by step, marker by marker. And yes, we had to take a couple of slight detours and change our itinerary as needed, but we got there in the end. In the end, one step in front of the other, one marker in front of another, we are approaching the last few meters together. Bloody hope I haven't gone the wrong way. It's such a confusing ending to the hike. Anyway, through walking these mountains, we learned about Hong Kong's history and its beautiful culture along the way, along the trail. We met some great locals who helped me and advised me, and I might stink, and I really don't want to be the person sat next to me on the train home from this end point, but here we are. Here we are, the very last 5 or 6 steps of the MacLehose Trail, all the way from the east coast of the country up and over the mountains to this vibrant, noisy city, and the end of the MacLehose Trail. Number 200! Yeah! You bloody legend. You are here. Bosh! Okay, we're gonna have a little dance and then we'll have a quick, very short debrief back in the pub. Okay, so after my little dance at the bus stop, I had to do a really gruesome walk actually, another kilometre or so, and in the end I just decided to jump in a taxi, get on the train and head back to the city. Fair to say I was pretty tired. Got to my hotel and I checked in, and it's amazing in Hong Kong what $30 can get you. They kept my bag for me and it's alive and safe. Welcome to my 1,000 Thai baht, so about 30, this is about $35 a night. This is what $35 a night gets you in Hong Kong. Single bed, that's apparently a double bed. And then it was time for a well-deserved cold can of beer and a doner kebab. Absolutely delicious. And then I stumbled into the nearest Irish pub I could find that was showing the game and sank, I think I actually finished 8 pints of Guinness, and I was there till 3 o'clock in the morning. I got really drunk because I just was so happy with my physical exertion and completing such a fantastic, epic adventure. So I know this video is already over an hour and a half long, or is it this minute? I haven't finished cutting it all, chopping it all together, but it's gonna be a long one. So if you've made it to the end of the video and you're still here, if you enjoyed yourself, hit the like button. It's completely free and it will help this video reach more people. And subscribe, because we've got loads of adventures coming. As you can see behind me, I'm in New Zealand. This is where we're going in the next week. This is where we're going on Saturday next week. So
loads of adventures in New Zealand and elsewhere, but really quickly, I just want to say the MacLehose Trail was an incredible experience, something that I'll never forget. Incredibly difficult, incredibly challenging, physically and mentally, but you need to do a little bit of planning. So I'll write everything that I can of use if you're really thinking about doing this trail in the description. Of course, the video went into a lot more detail, but in terms of just general logistical stuff, I'll leave it all in the description for you. I hope you enjoyed that incredible adventure. It really was next level for sure, and I can't wait for you to see the next one here in New Zealand. See you next week.